Hello, Karen Frankel with you for the last time in 2020. So lovely to see you. I'd been visited by one of my students. Actually, she's in my book. There's a photograph of her in my book, Drawing Contour. And she popped along. I hadn't seen her all year, and she popped along to get a book. And she said to me, Karen, I'm just lost all inspiration for my drawing. I'm really not quite sure how to get it back. I gave her a bit of my inspiration as to how to get back into drawing, because she hasn't really drawn this year. She hasn't been at classes, and she gets stuck with what to draw. And I thought that's a good one to finish the year off, because hopefully you guys are going to continue drawing over the Christmas break. Before I come back. And my biggest message to her, and it's going to sound a bit strange, but my biggest message to you to help yourselves is that drawing is not special. That sounds a bit funny. It's not something special that you don't want to stuff up, that's precious, and all of those things. And you've heard me say that along the way with my tutorials. Drawing's doesn't need to be, and in my opinion shouldn't be, something kept specially for special, and you're going to set aside a special day, although you can, okay? So don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with, well, there's a little bit wrong, which I'll get on to, with making drawing special. But in that nature, what I mean is, it doesn't need to be special in that it needs to be perfect. It doesn't have to be anything. You know, even if Karen said, oh, don't put strong lines on, you feel like putting strong lines on, put those strong lines on. But be aware of what's happening when you do. So I'd rather you do things out of choice rather than out of habit. Okay, so that's my little proviso. You can do anything you like. You don't have to put backgrounds on. You can put backgrounds on. Just draw. So there's no have-tos when it comes to drawing. Karen says don't bother rubbing out. There are reasons for that. That's because sometimes it makes you a little bit tight in your work, and I'd rather you were loose and not so worried about your work, and that's the reason. That doesn't mean to say you can't rub out. So that's the first thing I want to say to you is, don't make it the special important thing. Okay, that's number one tip. Number two tip. My student who came around said, I cannot find inspiration to get drawing. And I said to her, well, there's your problem right there. You're waiting for inspiration before you get drawing. And I'm going to say the same thing to you. Inspiration is a funny beast. Yes, we can absolutely feel inspired, and we're in a drawing mood, and somebody gives you beautiful flowers, or you've got gorgeous flowers in your home or in your garden, or you see a beautiful sunset, or you go and visit beautiful waterfalls, and you're all inspired to draw. The problem with that is that that kind of inspiration is very scary, and often rather than getting us inspired to draw, it stops us from drawing, because we're scared that we can't do justice to that inspiration. Okay, so that's something that comes up a lot, and you want to draw, see there's something fantastic, and you go, oh, I'm going to stuff it up, and I want it to be good, and I want it to be precious, and I want it to be beautiful, therefore I'm not going to do it. So in that way, inspiration is not particularly your friend. If you can get beyond that, then sure, something inspiring to draw is always lovely. What do we do if we haven't got inspiration to draw? And I've heard writers talk about the same thing. You've got to just draw. You've got to draw what's around you. You've got to draw the cup that you've just had a cup of coffee with. It doesn't have to be something beautiful. The third comment is, and I coined this phrase just for you guys, draw ugly. Okay? So we have this concept in our head that when we draw, it needs to be something beautiful, something we want to look at, something that we would like to frame, put up on our wall, something that's lovely to look at. And if it's lovely to look at, then intrinsically it's got to be attractive, right? Drawing doesn't have to be of something attractive. I remember my second or third ever drawing lesson when I came to Australia, and that is 36 years ago now. I can't believe it. It was this ugly blowtorch thing, and I kind of wrinkled my nose and thought, what on earth are we drawing that for? Really? It was the teacher that brought it in. And it got through to me that you can draw anything, and you should draw anything. So literally anything that is in front of you, you can draw. You don't have to draw the whole thing. Draw the TV. Draw the dog if it's sleeping. Draw a chair. Draw out the window. It doesn't matter what you draw. And my subject for today, I am going to draw something with you, is something very, very ordinary. It's wonderful if you can have the time to draw. I've set up over the last 6 or 7 years Wednesday mornings to paint with fellow artists, and that's now become sacrosanct. So even if I don't get to my painting during the week, I know I'm going to do it on a Wednesday. If you can do that, that's brilliant. However, many of us, especially when we're busy in our day-to-day lives, we are looking for time to draw. And sometimes we set aside that hour and we go, oh, fantastic, I've got a whole afternoon to draw. And because it's so special, it's a bit like the inspiration thing. You don't know what to draw. How are you going to fill that time? Okay? Oh, it's special. I've got this hour. That means I've got to produce something, you know, wonderful. And what happens if I don't? And you fiddle-fart around and you don't get anything done. So don't be afraid of just drawing anything, and not only just drawing anything, but drawing in 5 minutes. If you've got the hour, fantastic. But the hour doesn't need to be spent just on one drawing, okay? If it's not working, or you're not just feeling it, then draw something else. Draw your glasses. Draw something simple. And it's that practice, that initially finding something to draw or just drawing what's in front of you, literally, that will get your juices flowing and get your inspiration back. You will enjoy the process, and that will keep you coming back to it. Even if you're drawing something ugly and it's just a 5-minute sketch, once you're involved, you'll find the time starting to drift away, and you won't realize how much the time is going. And you'll get involved, and you'll see all the little reflection on your glasses. And, oh, I didn't notice that shadow before, even if it's an ugly thing or an ugly drawing. So don't be precious about that time. The last thing, which I've pretty much said all-encompassing, is just draw. Just draw, just draw, just draw. If you find that you can't or don't have time to set yourself up for a draw, which I'm saying is not often the best thing to do, it's a pleasure if you can, get yourself a little A5 diary, one of those small ones, and 5 minutes while you're waiting for your favorite TV program to come on, or before you've got to leave the house to go and collect somebody. Just spend 5 minutes drawing. It doesn't have to be finished. I've definitely mentioned this sort of thing before. Just draw. the more often you do it, if you can do it every day, even if it's 5 minutes, even if it's 1 minute, you'll find the momentum happens and you will draw. So the momentum is much more empowering than inspiration. Okay? Have me sitting on your shoulders. I'll be your inspiration. You can see my glasses there and my pencil there. How cool would that pencil be to draw? Okay, so literally anything that's in front of you, I had to grab another pencil, and even if it doesn't take, you know, you haven't got much time, just observe. Okay, I wasn't intending drawing this, but I'm putting my money where my mouth is, and I'm going, okay, I've told everyone to draw what they see. There you go. That's more or less what I see. And I've got, you can't see it, I've got a strong shadow underneath because I've got this lovely strong light. And as I'm drawing on the page, it's moving the page. And then I've got some shadow there. This is totally impromptu, guys. I drew a pencil. It took 1 or 2 minutes. I don't know how long that took. So there you go. That's your drawing for the day. Don't feel that it has to be special. There are 2 lemons. Yes, I have set them up in the light so that you can see the contrast between the one side of the lemon, the shadowed side of one lemon, the behind lemon, and the light side of the front lemon. Look at that beautiful dark negative shape. So get something out of your fridge, draw that. Even if it's half cut, that's even better, okay? How's that for something to draw? But that's what I thought I would look at now. So 2 eggs. Everybody's got eggs in their fridge. I've set those up so the light is on them. It doesn't matter really if you don't set it up brilliantly. Don't be precious about this, guys. To actually draw those eggs as perfectly as they are sitting in that photograph, to get that shading graduating from the dark there to the light and then the dark, that would take a lot of practice. So even though you would consider this to be very, very simple, okay, see how you go. I'm putting shadow there. I'm not quite sure where I'm putting shadow there because I really wasn't thinking. And that's exactly where all the light is. It's through there, isn't it? So I'm remembering my 5 tonal things. But hey, I don't care if you don't remember. Just draw. Okay? Don't be hard on yourself. Don't say, oh, I could be better. I'm not there yet. We could all be better. What's the good of that? Enjoy the process. That's what the good of it is. You can see my hand is over the top of the pencil. I quite like that because I can get some smooth shading in. You can see that harsher line there. So I'm just going to practice my shading. If you want to get realism, the edge between the front egg and the light there, so I'm putting a line there to help me with the clarity. So how clear that and sharp and crisp that edge is. Now I'm not sure if you can see, but I can see that there is a slight bit of the shading was coming into here, so that's what I've taken out because I want a crisp edge. I don't want to leave that line there. That line was just helping me provide that crisp edge. And if you want a crisp edge, you do need to sharpen your pencil. So I'll just show you over here. You can have a lovely crisp edge, and then you can tone up to that edge, and that provides a very crisp edge to this tone between that and that. Okay, so my edge is not very crisp there because I had put some shading there already. But if I take my newly sharpened pencil, I can now put a nice crisp edge there. Remember that a crisp edge is not necessarily a line. You can't see an edge there, and I'm trying to make that happen on this top egg. And in fact, I've just changed the shape subtly. So I'm noticing all sorts of things on there. But quite frankly, I'm being a bit precious. That's a nice edge. That's much better. But I am going to tone this side darker so that you've got that that dark there. And I've just noticed something else when I've looked at my eggs, and that is it's not that dark there. My head told me, because that light on the egg there is actually being reflected on that egg. So even 2 eggs will give you a challenge. So I'm putting my pencil on its side again. And let me pay more attention to what it's actually looking like. And that's lightening off. It's quite hard to gradually get those tones. And I'm going to use my kneadable eraser just to gently put that reflection there. We've got 15 people on. That's lovely. We haven't had that many people on for a while, so lovely to see you. I'll repeat those 5 tips at the end of the session. But the main story is, don't wait for inspiration, because when it arrives, you might not know what to do with it. So those lines are from where I had drawn previously, and there's actually a lovely reflection or white light edge over the top of that. And something I drew on the previous page has left a little indentation there. When you are shading in with your hand over the top, it helps you to not get directional shading, but you can see there it is pretty directional, so it's something you really do need to practice. Now I quite like putting the shading in and then removing it with the kneadable eraser so that I can get the smoothness. I can see that this is looking very harsh against that, so I need to practice as well. But as you know, it's very difficult to demonstrate and talk and draw all at the same time. So now I'm going to come and I'm going to put that shine on that egg. Now clearly the eggs are brown and we're not using color, but you could theoretically leave the white paper to show the lightest light there. and I'm going to put a very subtle light edge, but we can really only see that very subtle light edge there if the background tone changes, and I've actually left the background tone my white page, whereas in the photograph it's not white, although it is light. Okay, there's something else happening here that I want to put in, and it's actually showed me that my egg is not very well shaped. Now, when I draw, I usually draw with my book facing me, in which case I can see the shape properly. As it's facing you, I'm getting a bit of foreshortening happening, and when I look at the screen, I can see the above camera, so that actually helps me. Okay, what I can see that works beautifully is this little shadow cutting across there, this deep shadow there, which is almost the same tone as the bottom of the egg. In fact, there's a real deep tone there, and there's this lovely shadow that goes across. So I've put my nice shading test there. See, I'm getting a little bit precious too. So the light is actually coming around that egg into the front there. And we can shade this one as well, going from dark to light. So my dark has been a bit sporadic there. I tried to put that reflected light in. It didn't quite work. It's my favorite thing in the world to do, is to teach and share what I know, because I know that everybody has got this drawing in them. I'd love you to give me a little thumbs up. The more that your visitors interact with you, the more they will show those videos to other people. And I would love to grow my audience, especially on YouTube. I'd love you to subscribe. I think there's a little bell there that you can click so that every time I upload my video, you can see it there. I think I'm going to stop there. They're pretty ugly. But you know what? I said draw ugly. So, to go over them. Drawing is not special. You don't have to have a special place. You don't have to have special time. You can, and that's wonderful, don't get me wrong, but if you make it a special thing, don't let that special stop you from just drawing. That's the important part to remember. Don't worry about inspiration. Sometimes inspiration sets you up for failure because you're inspired by something, you've set up that special time, and you finally get there and you go, oh, now what do? I'm going to stuff it up, and I've got this beautiful paper and I've got this beautiful pencil. Use your beautiful paper, use your beautiful pencil, but draw ugly. Don't worry about it. Draw something ugly, and even if your drawing is ugly, it does not matter. What matters is you've drawn and you've observed, and I promise you, you'll enjoy it if you're not too hard on yourself. So don't set yourselves up for failure by expecting too much. In fact, don't expect anything. Expect to enjoy the pleasure of drawing, and at the end of it, you'll enjoy it more than you think you will. So draw ugly, I've said a number of times. The fourth thing was about time. You can draw in 1 minute, okay? Ugly pencil, that's what I mean by draw ugly. 1 minute, 2 minutes, that's all it took. Don't worry about the perfection of it, okay? And finally, just draw. Draw as regularly as you can, even if it is 2 minutes, okay? You don't need to set a special time. If you can, wonderful, but draw ugly. Have a wonderful, wonderful festive season to all of you out there. I think Hanukkah is over. for another year. Have a wonderful Christmas if you celebrate. Try and relax over the new year. Love you lots. See you next time. See you next year in 2021. Bye-bye.